Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time I'm on location once again at my brother-in-law's Tony's place, and we're going to be having a look at his original Transformer toys. As you can see around me, Tony's got one incredible collection, and that's what we're going to be having a look at today. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so thanks for joining us today, Tony. So there is some of your Transformers collection. So when did you actually start collecting Transformers?
Well, obviously I had them as a kid, and when you become an adult you put away childish things, as they say. So about probably 12 years ago, I saw something online about original G1 Transformers, and there were some collections. And I thought about collecting them, then didn't think anything more of it. And then one day I was looking on eBay for a breakdown kit for my car. So I typed in car breakdown kit, and this little dude popped up. He's actually called Breakdown, and he was on eBay for about £3.
Yeah.
So I just bought it, and it arrived. I thought that brings back some memories, and it just sort of spiraled from there. So this is a combiner, part of a set that you'll see in a minute.
Yeah.
Obviously I've got a replacement since then, because this one's very faded, but this is what sparked it back all off for me again. And it just started from there, and 12 years later, here we are.
Look at what you got. So you collected them when you were growing up, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're a little bit younger than me. So as I would say I was the Star Wars generation. You were Transformers, Master of the Universe, Thundercats sort of generation, yeah?
Well, I was looking at Thundercats, don't get me started.
Okay.
I'll start off something else otherwise.
Okay. But Transformers, so what, you watched the cartoons, did you read the comic? And
I had all the Marvel comics. I think it was Marvel.
Yeah, Marvel Weekly, yeah.
The Marvel Weekly ones, yeah, I had all those. And I had what I had at home. I wasn't really a collector, it was just stuff you got for Christmas, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I never had all of them, but obviously now, still haven't got all of them, but I've got the majority of Season 1, Season 2, and probably 3/4 of Season 3 of G1.
Oh, right, and that's G1 Generation 1?
Yes.
Yeah? Yes, you see, I know a bit about Transformers, and we did used to sell them in Purple Haze, of course, but we had our Saturday guy would come in, and he was Transformers mad, and he would sort all the Transformers stuff out for us, so that was always really good. So, you're still collecting today, or have you got everything that you sort of wanted to get back?
There's still a few pieces I'd like to get, but I wouldn't say that the collecting's full blown now. It's a case of if I see something pop up online, I'll get it if I need. I'd like to have a Generation 1 Fort Max, which is about that tall, but they go for over £1,000 sometimes.
Really?
So that's the holy grail. But
I do seem to remember when we had the shop, there was one which had 5 big Transformers fitted into one. Is that the one? Is that the one? Fortress Maximus?
Fortress Maximus, he's a base changer, basically. He's a headmaster.
Right,
So
okay.
one becomes a head, another one becomes a head. We've got some headmasters to go through in a bit.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I always remember that one, and we used to have him in the window of the shop saying Transformers Wanted, holding like a sign in his hand. It was pretty cool. All right, well, look, I think what we'll do, if you take us through all your shelves, your Transformers one by one, and we'll have a look through, all right? Right then, Tony, so this looks a pretty packed shelf. Are these all your earliest Transformers, are they?
So these I've split them up, so we've got Autobots up here, Decepticons we'll get to in a bit, because as you can see the shelf's quite full, I couldn't fit any more on. Yeah. So here's sort of the guy that started it off. Any G1 will recognise Optimus Prime right there. This is an original, but I have upgraded them. Those who collect these might have heard of a company called Repro Labels.
Oh, yeah.
They do all the original sticker sheets, but they also do some upgrades. So this is what they call an anime upgrade. So he's got the symbol on both shoulders and the grill at the front. That wasn't part of the original sticker, so he's upgraded, but the toy is original. Yeah. And one thing to always look out for as well is underneath there you've got the rub sign, because at the time when these were released, the GoBots were out as well as a few other transforming toys, so that was Hasbro's way of marking it as a true Transformer.
Oh, I see, right.
Now Hasbro didn't design this. This was done by a Japanese company who made what they call a robo machine or Diaclone figures.
Yeah.
And before they were Transformers, this bit you could open up, and there were actually little figures that sat in each one of these until Hasbro bought the license and rebranded them as Transformers, but they retained those features. And in a lot of these cars, you'll find, even in the Dinobots back here, there's little places which would open up and there'd be a driver sat in each one of these.
Right.
But obviously they bought the whole lot, rebranded it all, and recoloured a lot of them as well. And these little ones at the front were done
Yeah.
by a company called Micro Machines. The same thing.
Oh,
Hasbro
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
bought the license, changed them.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the history of it. I'll get to the big guy in a sec, but if we just go through them quickly. So obviously
Yeah.
you've got Optimus Prime. At the back there are the 5 Dinobots. We've got Grimlock Slag, which you can't use anymore. When they release Slag these days,
yeah.
it's usually called Slug or some other
I
form
see,
because they
yeah.
can't use that word. Sludge, Snarl, and Little Swoop at the back there. Now, he wasn't released in the UK. You could only get the original, the land creatures.
Yeah.
For Swoop, you had to either get from America or get someone you know to send it off for you. He wasn't for sale here, so he's quite rare in the UK.
Yeah.
And then what they call the Autobot cars. There's 11 of those. So we've got Jazz, Ratchet, with upgraded head, by the way. Prowl, Wheeljack, Hound, Ironhide with an upgraded head, because these two are exact molds of each other.
Yeah.
Sideswipe, Mirage, Blue Streak is quite rare. Trailbreaker and Sunstreaker. You notice on Blue Streak here I've put the shoulder cannons.
Yeah.
Now these guys also came with guns, missiles, all that sort of thing. I have got them all there, all complete, but they're in a bag over there because there's not enough space to display them with all their kit.
Damn
I'll just put that
accessories,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, I've even got all the spares. So obviously he's got 2 missiles on him. They actually all came with 3. I've got them all in the bag down there, so they are all complete.
Yeah.
Then you've got the 6 original mini bots, the ones that they had as Micro Machines, which they rebranded. So in front of Optimus Prime, so you've got Bumblebee,
I
Cliff
recognise
Jumper, Brawn, Huffer, Gears, and Windcharger. So that is all the Series 3 Autobots.
Right.
Now this guy here, there's a bit of controversy with him. He's packaged, and I've got his box as Jetfire, but in the series he was called Skyfire, only because there were problems with the Japanese company in the licensing of it. So they weren't allowed to use the name Jetfire in the cartoon, so they call it Skyfire, and he has a completely different head in the show as well. So whilst he's part of the series, this wasn't actually the guy you saw on camera, it was somebody on film, it was somebody else. So that is the complete Autobots series that you saw in Series 1.
Wow. And which ones are expensive? I mean, they're quite collectible Transformers these days.
Optimus Prime, obviously, is the most popular.
Yeah.
Boxed, he can go for upwards of £500.
Really?
I've got this guy's an expensive one as well. He's complete with box. All this red stuff you see all over him is actually detachable plastic parts, so that he often comes with parts missing.
Yeah.
He's 100% complete. He can go for upwards of £200 depending on the condition.
Yeah.
The mini bots you can pick up for about a £5, but I always get ones with the rub signs on. I mean, theirs are on the back, but I mean, Jazz, you can see his there. Ratchets and Ironhides, theirs are actually on the cab sections at the back.
Right.
So that's part of those. His is on the back. They've all got rub signs on them, so I always make sure to get those.
Brilliant. What about that big one at the back there with like the, is that like a track coming out? Or
Okay,
something
right.
Side?
So this side, again, like I explained, they bought licenses from toys that already existed.
Yeah.
So as we move into Series 2, we've got some repeats. So if you look at Red Alert here, he's an exact same mold as Sideswipe over here. All they've done is recolor it, so that they've just created a new character for nothing.
They're
basically.
so cheap, aren't they?
Yeah. And Hoist here. Other than the head, the body is exactly the same as Trailbreaker over here.
All right.
Right, so these are Series 2, so that's 2 new characters they've got for free. The rest of them are pretty much new. So you've got Grapple here and Inferno, both exactly the same mould. Now in Series 1, there was a Yellow Crane that turned up in one of the episodes. He never spoke, and you never saw him in robot mode, and they called him Hauler, and you never saw him again. We actually think it was him, and he was put in the animation by mistake.
Right.
So obviously he appears later on. So these are all Series 2. Some more mini bots. You've got Sea Spray, Beachcomber, Cosmos, Warpath, and Powerglide. They were both 2 quite popular characters. Actually, they were focused a lot more on them than they did these other 3.
Yeah.
And you've got another copy here. So you've got Smokescreen, which is the same as Prowl and Blue Streak, exactly the same mould. Tracks back here. Again, I've got his missiles all in the bag.
Yeah.
Tracks, Skids. He only ever appeared in a couple of episodes and only ever spoke one line, so he's quite a rare one, and he's quite flimsy, so he's difficult to find complete and in good condition. Perceptor, again, that was the toy that already existed that they rebranded.
Yeah.
He's actually a working microscope. This actually works.
Oh wow.
He turns into I mean, it's only toy microscope quality, but the point is that this folds out. The lens still works. You can focus it.
Look at stuff,
it actually still works.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's good.
Blaster.
Yeah.
So he's actually a radio,
Yeah.
and he has got cassettes, but they didn't appear until Series 3, which is why I've not put them with this lot.
Ah, right, yeah. I vaguely remember one where it was like a cassette, actually.
Yeah, you had Soundwave, who was a Decepticon,
right,
so he's the
Soundwave.
Autobot version. So,
I see, yeah.
Now this guy you were speaking about, this is Omega Supreme. He's actually battery operated.
All right,
He
yeah.
walks, and these big fins back here are actually railway tracks.
All
So
right, yeah.
the rest of him, including his arms, form a rocket in a station, and this part of him forms a train which goes around the tracks, which circles him.
Cool.
All still works.
Cool. Oh, brilliant, yeah.
And then lastly you've got the combiners. So this one is called Defensor, that one is called Superior, and this one's made up of jets, this one's made up of rescue vehicles.
Yeah.
And that completes all of the Autobots for Series 1 and Series 2.
Oh, fantastic.
Alright, so the above shelf was a bit full. Unfortunately, the Decepticons didn't have as many characters to battle with.
Right.
Especially in Series 1. So we'll start with the obvious one,
Yeah.
Which is the G1 Megatron original.
Oh, yeah. No,
I don't have a box for him, but he is complete. I have the 2 bits for him that form the gun over in the box.
Yeah.
If you're looking for him on eBay, you'll only find him in this form because obviously his alternate form is a Walther P38.
Right.
They're not allowed to have images of guns on there, so if you do try to sell one, it'll be taken down. So you'll only ever see him like that.
Form,
Yeah. If you do see him in gun form, usually they've got orange caps on the end to depict that it's a toy.
Right.
But he can go upwards. I mean, I bought him, he's loose but complete for £110. So one with a box. I mean, I thought that was a bargain. I was lucky to get that because some people don't always know what they're selling. So he's in perfect condition. Moving along, now you've got another section here of stuff that already existed, which Hasbro took rebranded. So you can see all 3 exactly the same mode. They got 3 characters out of that. So you've got Starscream, who's obviously the most popular.
Yeah.
Skywarp, Thundercracker. I've put them with their hands and their missiles on because they look silly without them. Bits that often go missing. I've got a bag over there which has got all their plane bits. So it's very much a parts form. You've got bits to take off and put back on.
Sure, yeah,
Essentially,
yeah.
the body is the main bit. The rest of it's all bits you swap around.
Okay.
Now, I said about rub signs, and Starscream is the only exception. When Transformers first came out, before they were aware of imitations and that sort of things, and not all of them had rub signs. So this Starscream is a pre-rub sign. So this is one of the very, very first ones that was released.
Yeah.
And he's the only G1 Transformer I have from Series 1 and 2 that doesn't have a rub sign, but he's a pre-rub and he is a genuine one.
Right.
So he was a bit more expensive.
Yeah.
Probably one a lot of people are popular with. Everybody at school wanted this guy. This is Soundwave. He forms the tape deck, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
In front of him are 4 of his sort of minions. So these 2 were done in packs. You could buy a pack which had Rumble and Ravage, and the other pack had Frenzy and Laserbeak. It might have been the other way round, but
Yeah.
there was always one of the men and one of the creatures with them.
Right.
So you've got obviously Ravage here, who's
yeah.
the dog. Laserbeak's probably the most popular one that everybody knows.
Yeah.
He has got a 5th one, which I'll get onto in a bit. Again, more Diaclone stuff. These have all got panels in the front where a little man would have sat, so they rebranded these. These are the Insecticons. So you've got Shrapnel, Kickback and Bombshell. Onto the front here, there's a character called Reflector. Now he's actually 3 robots, but he's 1 personality. So it's 1 robot that forms a camera. He splits up into 3. Couldn't buy this in the UK. It was only a mail-away product.
Right.
So he's very expensive.
Yeah. How much would one of those go for?
I've seen them go for £200 loose.
Bloody.
And I've also got all the bits and the pieces that attach to
So
form
those
a
3,
camera.
when they're formed, make a camera.
Make a camera,
Wow,
yes.
that's incredible.
Obviously, only one of them has got the rub sign on, but they all form the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, in the cartoon, they weren't all different colours. They were obviously 3 robots, but they generally look like this one at the front here, the purple and the green. These colours were sort of disbanded after that.
Cool.
You can actually get some aftermarket stuff now with the anime stuff, with the up-to-dates, but he's an original. And over here, again, a completely different brand that Hasbro took to rebrand. He was the first ever combiner that was released in the Transformers market. And you couldn't get him at all again in the UK. I don't know why they make these decisions, because he would have been quite popular. Everybody wanted him.
Yeah.
So basically, this is Devastator. He's made up of the Constructicon team, which is 6 robots.
Yeah.
So the legs are Scrapper, Mixmaster, Long Haul gets the honour of being the groin piece, Hookers at the top, Scavenger and Bone Crusher on this side. And this was the last, so they didn't go with this again, because as you see with the other combiners, they sort of made their own thing. I've done the upgraded head on this one, whose eyes light up as well, because
Yeah.
the original head was a bit stiff, which I have got, but I prefer the upgraded head.
Yeah.
We swing over to Series 2, but before we get there,
Yeah.
I've got this Megatron drawing here. Some YouTube reviewer did that. I wonder who that was, but takes pride of place next to Megatron.
I'm very glad to see that, Tony.
Yeah. Okay, so the first one I'll come to is Buzzsaw. Now he's, as you can see, another cassette. Now he only appeared in Series 2.
He's just behind the Harry Potter spire, so I'm moving the camera over there.
Got him?
There we are, yeah, got him, yeah.
Okay, so this is Buzzsaw, one of the cassettes.
Yeah,
now he's Series 2. Now the reason he appeared in Series 2 was essentially a cartoon back then, was a toy sales pitch, wasn't it? Now Buzzsaw actually came packaged with Soundwave. So if you had Soundwave, you already had him. So they obviously wanted to sell the other 4. So you didn't see him at all in Series 1. They gave him about 3 episodes, I think, in Series 3, Series 2, but that's why I've put him over here, because he's not part of Series 1. So, Series 2 Decepticons, there weren't that many introduced. As I said, Megatron's team was a little bit light, I think.
Yeah.
So the first 2 triple changes were introduced. So you've got Blitzwing, who's a tank and a jet, and is, in my opinion, the best one. Astral Train, which is 2 completely different things. You've got a steam locomotive and a space shuttle.
Right.
You couldn't get 2 things too further apart. And then what you've got here at the front, you've got exactly the same body molds, if you look at the top to bottom, as the 3 original Seekers.
Oh, yeah.
But all they've done is they've changed the wing setup, the cannons, that sort of thing. And when they made the G1 cartoon, obviously they took the toys and they made the animation based on the toy.
Right.
So on the original 3, these were the heads. But when they got to these 3, they thought, well, why don't we just do that? Actually, that looks kind of different. And then they drew these 3 with cone heads in the cartoon, which is why they look different. But what's nice about these is they've each got a different colour and a different look.
Yeah.
So you've got Ramjet Thrust, which is the most popular one because he's a VTOL jet with his fins there.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got Dirge.
Brilliant.
And then at the back, you've got Hasbro's own. So Hasbro designed these themselves. So you've got 2 more combiners. So this one is Menasor. He's made up of the Stunticons. So you've got Motormaster in the middle. So it was one big body piece and 4 limbs. So Motormaster is the truck.
Yeah.
These are all sports cars. Dragstrip, who is a real version of an F1 Tyrrell, because that car used to actually exist.
All right.
Dead End is this one. The left leg is Wild Rider, and the right leg is Breakdown, which is the other portion of this guy. So
right.
he's actually the right leg of that one there. Obviously, I've got a new.
So the
upgraded one,
individual limbs you could buy separately, could you?
you can buy separately.
Yeah.
You can also buy them in packs.
Right.
Which were more expensive, but I think most people, these guys would be in a box, these guys would be on a small card.
I see, right, yeah, cool.
And it would say collect them all. So you'd get one, and then you'd have to get the others.
Brilliant.
This one is Bruticus. He's one of the Combaticons. So you've got Onslaught in the middle, Vortex, the helicopter, and a purple space shuttle. These have got upgraded Reaper labelled anime stickers on them as well.
Yeah.
Brawl the tank, and Swindle is the Jeep at the bottom.
Brilliant.
And that is. G1 fans may notice one notable person that's missing here.
Yeah.
And that's, I did have a G1 Shockwave to go with these guys.
Yeah.
He's broken. I'm actually building a new one at the minute. So
Work in
Shockwave
progress,
is the only one that's missing from this set.
Okay, brilliant. Oh, they look really good. They're fantastic. So, what's on this bottom shelf here?
So the bottom shelf there is just a collection of more modern stuff. So on the left there you've got Transformers Prime, which is a recent series, obviously an animated series. Moving along on the right hand side, it's a lot of the movie characters from the film, or from the films, and just a few bits and pieces that I like the look of, but they're not obviously G1s, they're just stuff that I sort of added a bit later on.
Just sort of cool modern day Transformers.
Yeah, they're all plastic, they're nowhere near the same quality as the G1 stuff, which are, while fragile, were made to last. They're all easily breakable, I suppose, for the modern day child, I guess.
Yeah. This is like aside from your other shelves here. So what's this stuff then, Tony?
So this is all G1 stuff again.
Yeah.
So we're talking 3-4 years after it all started. So we're talking 88, 1989, that sort of thing now.
Yeah.
It was phasing off. So a lot of these ones you can see here, they're all gimmicky. You know, they're not based on previous stuff. So for example, these 2 here. Now, it looks just a little bit flimsy, and you can't do anything with that. It's got no articulation. So what this one is, it's a battle charger. So you can transform them like that, really quick.
Okay.
And they're actually pullbacks. So when you pull back and let them go, they just pop up like this guy here.
Ah,
and they do
brilliant,
still
yeah.
work, but they are very old. You need a lot of run up to get it
I
to
see,
work.
yeah.
Right, so
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
they were all very sort of quick to change, not like the original stuff from series 1 and 2. And this one here, I'll use him as an example actually.
Yeah.
We spoke about Fortress Maximus earlier on,
Oh,
the
yeah,
Headmaster.
yeah.
Well, this is one of the original bog standard Headmasters. So basically the head comes off,
Yeah.
and it turns into basically his driver. And when you form him into a wolf, he would sit in there. So you're going back to the old Diaclone idea of having drivers.
Yeah.
But these were actually characters, they called these the Headmasters. And when you plump in the head, what it would do is it would give you a readout of the Transformers stats, so speed, strength,
I see,
intelligence.
yeah,
And they all had that. And Fortress Maximus had one of these, but the alternate form would be a head. So you put the little guy on here, that would form a head, which would become the head of Fortress Maximus, which is why he's such a big one. In fact, he's probably as big as Darth Vader is there.
Really? Yeah.
Really big one. This one you've got Octane, he's another triple changer, similar to Astral Train and Blitzwing back on the first shelf.
Yeah.
2 more Headmasters, these are triple changing Headmasters. So you've got Ape Face and Snapdragon, so they form a dragon, an ape, and they both form jets. Galvatron, which was Megatron's sort of alter ego.
Not Gaviscon.
Not Galvatron, no.
Galvatron, yeah.
So obviously, after the '86 film, Megatron became Galvatron, which is he's
right,
an
yeah.
electric toy, and the sounds work. The light up doesn't, unfortunately. So I'm a bit like Shockwave. I'm looking to get a replacement for him,
Right.
so that I like to have them that work. But he's
Yeah,
originally
yeah,
in good condition. There's 2 henchmen in front, are Cyclones and Scourge, and there's controversy about where their characters came from. Were they Skywarp and Thundercracker, or were they Shrapnel and Kickback? Nobody really knows. It was never really explained. More Decepticon Headmasters here. So these 3 came as a set. So you've got Weird Wolf, Mindwipe, Skull Cruncher. This is a Decepticon Target Master. So rather than use the head gimmick, they used gun gimmicks. So Target Masters were essentially these little guys that became guns.
Yeah.
This one, the only reason I have one is because he's extremely rare. And to transform him, you need to all you need to do is flip the legs over and he becomes a man. But what happens is these bits of plastic become so strained that they break, and it's difficult to find one of these that's complete. In fact, this I bought for £60, just that piece alone.
Really?
And completely, he's called Misfire, the character, because the colours are completely mismatched.
Yeah.
And it's an odd one, but he's to find him complete, he's extremely rare. That's why I like to have him. We've got 2 more combiners. So you've got Abominus here. He's formed up of the Terracons. He's made up by 5 creatures basically. It's just they were running out of ideas and they were just chucking any old thing together really.
Yeah.
This one over here is another combiner, but he's made of 6. He's the Seacons. He never appeared in the animated series, only in the Japanese series, which carried on after the American version finished, and he's in all the comics as well. His nemesis, we're moving into the Autobots now, is Computron. So he's made up of like futuristic vehicles, and obviously the name would suggest he computes everything before he does it, which is why he's called Computron. This guy is quite a rarity as well. He's called Quick Switch. Now, he looks odd because he actually forms 6 different things. So you've got a robot, a jet, a boat, a gun, I think there's a tank, and I think there's a wolf in there as well. There is a Decepticon version called Six Shot, which I don't have. Obviously looking to get him if I can get him for a good price, but I mean, he just looks quite blocky and a bit naff. But again, the selling point here was 4 or 6 things, but the robot is a little bit, which because some of these weren't as good quality as some of the previous stuff. So now we've got an Autobot Headmaster. This is the only one I've got. There were 4 little ones of these. I've only got the one. This one's Brainstorm. Now the one at the back, you'll all be familiar with Hot Rod from the animated film.
Yeah.
Hot Rod became Optimus Prime. Now this is the toy everybody was expecting. It should have been iconic. It should have been fantastic. And I think most G1 fans would agree that this is actually pretty naff.
Right.
It was the biggest disappointment when it came out, and everybody sort of got that, and like the legs don't move. All that happens is his feet around. You flip him over, and then you stick him into that at the back.
I see. Yeah.
So it really was, compared to Galvatron, I mean, people would be being disappointed, but you've got to have him because he's part of the.
Yeah. No, I remember having that one in the shop at one point.
Yeah, he really isn't very good. The one I collected as an adult, we had him as a kid, but it took me a long time to put this guy together, is Metroplex.
Oh,
now,
he's huge, isn't he?
He comes with a lot of guns, bits, accessories, which I do all have. They're over there in the bag, the bits on him. surprisingly, he's not that expensive. I thought he would have been a lot more expensive to buy. I mean, I think I bought the body for £20, then I just had to keep collecting all the bits until I got a complete one.
Yeah.
Even his little car that comes with a little gun. That was about a £5. For one that's quite so iconic, I thought it would be a lot more expensive, and he's actually not really. He's actually one of the cheaper ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
And so we're into sort of the movie category here. So the animated films. So we've got Blur. These are all the characters that were introduced. Blur, Cup, obviously Hot Rod. Hot Rod and Cup are the Autobot Target Master versions that came in Series 4. The one that everybody hates is Wheelie, which is down here, the annoying little character.
Right, yeah.
He's sort of like, if you think of Masters of the Universe, the Orko, the annoying character, the bit of comic relief. We saw Blaster earlier on. Here are 3 of his cassettes. So he's got Steeljaw, the lion. I think he's called Rampor and the rhino. And there's a man that they're called Rewind and Eject. I only have one of them. The other one's blue. I haven't been able to find the other one. If you watch the 85-86 animated film, you'll notice that of the 6 original Minibots, 4 of them were killed off. The only ones that survived were Bumblebee and Cliffjumper. Now the other 4, it was all done, obviously all done for a reason. They released new moulds of the 4 that were killed off to sell as new characters. So that one's Pipes, which was Huffer, and that one is Outback, which was originally Brawn. That one is Tailgate, which was originally Windcharger, and that one is Swerve, which was originally Gear. So again, they killed those 4 off because they were looking to sell more toys, which is effectively what the film was all about, really. It was made for Hasbro.
A vehicle for toys, but so cool as well. That's
so cool. Yeah, cool. Exactly. There were a few more triple changes they added. So Broadside at the back, he was the worst one. He forms a jet and an aircraft carrier. The 2 things couldn't be more further apart in size, so the scale's well off for that one. This one's quite cool. Sandstorm, this one I'm quite impressed in remembering all the names actually. So he's also a helicopter and a car. Springer was the most popular, he's a helicopter and a car. He featured heavily in the animated film. These 2 you saw briefly in Series 4 with the Headmasters. They're called, well, they're twins, but they form 2 different alt modes. But when you look at them, they look exactly the same. So they've got 2 rub signs. So they've got the Autobot rub sign, and the other rub sign tells them whether they're the car or tells you which vehicle they are. Right. So they've actually got 2. There's a Decepticon version of them as well, which I don't have. These 3, so we're getting into NAF territory now. They're coming towards the end. They didn't even feature in anything. So you just basically flip them down, and there's your alternate vehicle. Now they're called the Sparkabots. So they've got a wheel in there with a little flint in it. And when you rub it hard enough, sparks fly at the back. They do all 3 work to some degree, but it's very weak. And lastly, you've got the throttle box at the front. Again, we're talking gimmicks, they're just chucking stuff out. So you just basically do that, and there you go, done like that. These are the sort of things you could buy with your pocket money. All pull backs, all they do is you just pull them back and off they go, and they all still work. But that is essentially the G1 collection in its entirety, as I have it anyway.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so there you go. So I hope you've enjoyed that look around Tony's Generation 1 collection of Transformers. Thank you very much for allowing us to come around today, Tony.
Pleasure.
Absolutely amazing collection. And any last tips you want to give anyone who's sort of thinking of getting into Transformers?
Just be on the lookout for bargains. Check for markings which say Hasbro on them with the year. Check for the rub signs, and obviously look for good quality. It might take you a few attempts to get one that's where you want it to be, so you might have to collect a few. You might end up with a few junkers, but take your time, enjoy it, and have fun with it.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thanks once again for watching. Do please give the video a thumbs up if you have enjoyed it. Do consider subscribing for regular retro toy content. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.